Good morning, everybody, and thank you so much for joining this very exciting panel discussion today. I know some of you are either decided to move or you're thinking about it or just curious. So we have a great list of panelists that are here today who are sharing their views and their thoughts. I want to start by introducing them. Naina, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Naina Ballachanda. I moved to the United States in 1991. But even when I moved there, I got married and moved there. Even when I moved there, my intention was to move back. My husband had different ideas, so we ended up staying a little longer than I expected to. And then I put a date of 2020 to move back. And then COVID hit, and I ended up moving back anyway, just by myself. And that's kind of my journey to Kodagu.
And are you shuttling between Kodagu and US right now?
Yes. Actually, I am spending 6 months in Kodagu and 6 months in the United States. And I don't expect that to change. I think in the long term, that is still my plan.
Okay, thank you, Naina. Umesh and Rina, would you like to go next, please?
Sure. So I moved to the US in 96 after I got married. Umesh had been there for a few years before that. We lived in multiple places in the US from the West Coast to the East Coast. We then actually spent 8 years in India in between because through the company we moved here. The kids actually went to school, local schools here, spent time with grandparents, and then we went back. And we always wanted to spend more time with our parents and with the extended family, and that was the big driver for us wanting to move back. And when after both our children, after our little one got a job in the US, that's when we moved back because that was our driver to move back. We had to make a decision. There were many reasons to continue to stay there, but there were primary reasons to move back, and that's what we did. Is we moved back. We're currently in Mysore building a house in Kodagu, and we will move to Kodagu once the house is built. Umesh, do you want anything to add?
So we're still new. We've been in the second journey. It's been now 6 months, so I have nothing more to add other than we are enjoying. They have been enjoying the last 9 months actually. So
lucky. Darwin, thank you. Darwin, would you like to introduce, please?
Hi everyone, this is Darwin Chandira. I moved to US for my higher studies in 2001, and I moved back to India in 2017. Actually, having worked in the same company for about 14-15 years, they had given me a choice of a sabbatical leave. So I took a 2-year sabbatical leave to move to India, and then resigned after settling down here. The primary reason for moving to India was I had 2 young kids. One was two-year-old and the other one was just 2 months old. So I basically wanted them to spend time with the grandparents when the grandparents were healthy. So they have some sweet, pleasant memories of the grandparents. And also that is the young age when they really need time from us. So I thought I could spend more time with the kids being in India, and also get them to be more resilient, like the energy that drove us to US, they probably drive the same energy from here.
Awesome, thank you. Sigi?
Hi, I'm Sigi Nellira. We've been in the US for almost 20 years now. So there were a few reasons why I wanted to move back to India. One of the big ones was that we wanted our son to have like an immersive experience and really know his roots and family members before he went to college. He being an only child, we were hoping that he'd experience a little of what we had growing up. And I also wanted him to know that there's another place called home. Initially, we wanted to move right before he went to high school, which was in 2020. And of course, COVID hit and we couldn't make the move then. So 11th grade was the last shot we had, and we just made the jump. So my husband was here, just my son and I moved. It was a really tough decision because of the shift in academics and how that might impact his grades, etc. But he was doing really well here. So we didn't think that was a problem. But he really didn't take very well to the change. And so we decided to move back, and we're back in Austin now. And he just graduated high school.
Awesome. I think we lost Muthu uncle and Vasanthi auntie, so we'll wait for them to join back.
We are
Um,
back.
Okay, you're
are
back. Okay. Okay, would you like to introduce yourselves, uncle and auntie?
I am Muthu Balyamanda. ನಾನು USA talking. Hello.
It's breaking up a little bit, but go ahead. Go ahead.
ನಂಗೆ 1989 ಕೊಡಗುಂಜ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಿಂದ ಯುಎಸ್ಎಗೆ ಮೂವ್ ಆಚಿ ಕೆನೆಟಿಕಟ್ಲಿಂದ you find a job in the government that we are moved to happen.
Uncle, I think
family
your audio is really bad. Do you want to just mute and then unmute again? Hopefully that may change. I'm not sure how we can improve the audio.
Okay. Kappa.
Yeah, Kirpa auntie, Kirpa.
ಅಲ್ಲ ನಿಂಗಡಲ್ಲಿ
Can you-
ಫ್ಯಾನ್ ಏನೇ ಉಂಟು ಆ ಪಕ್ಕದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾನು ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಿವಿ ಅದರ್ವೈಸ್ that will also can impact the mic if there are other sound emanating things.
Sometimes going off video helps. Just
Yeah,
keeping
if
the
not,
audio.
just turn off your video, just do audio. I think we can at least hear you all.
Okay, Nanga, 1989 we moved to US from Bangalore. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Go.
Then we stayed in Connecticut for 32 years. We worked for federal government. And after retirement, we plan on moving back to Coorg, but we moved to North Carolina, other 7 years. Then after retirement, we decided to travel. While traveling, we stayed in Bangalore a lot and also visiting Coorg. That made us to stay in Coorg more and more. And Muthu started doing his Tota because somebody was coffee land. They passed away. So now Muthu is taking care. So, and he liked it so much. That's the reason we wanted to stay in Coorg a lot. So, but right now we are doing 6 months in US and 6 months in between Bangalore and Coorg. But most of the time we stay in Coorg and also traveling a lot.
So, to the whole panelists, if there's a question, if you had to do what you're doing right now all over again, would there be something different that you would do about moving back or not moving back? Is there anybody that would like to talk about that?
Yeah, I can, from my perspective, I think if your kids are small, that's the ideal time to move if you're thinking of a move. But once they go into high school, it's not the best time to move. So I would say that if you're thinking about it, go as soon as possible when the kids are able to adapt to the change better.
I
Anybody?
actually have an opposite view on that. I feel like if kids grow up here, it's a better thing. Looking at what has happened in my life and then now living in India and seeing the kids out here, I actually feel our kids are doing great in the US. And I'm happy that I didn't move them when they were young.
You
Well,
got
I would
perspective of both.
disagree on that.
Of course, you moved your
Because
kids early.
yeah,
But
because
what's
when
your
I look at the kids and the things they're exploring and the resilience they're building here, because that's the same spirits that took us back to US.
Mhm.
Now, over time, we lose those adventure and the courage to do something outside our comfort zone. So here, when I look at the kids, the bonding with the grandparents and also the day in and out, the things they do are very fantastic. And as far as when you look at kids here or kids anywhere, there are all sorts of kids everywhere. That's pretty much what I have come to the conclusion. Humans are humans, doesn't matter where we go.
Exactly. Exactly.
That actually brings us to Sigi, if you could talk about how you moved back, your son's experience and what you went through, and then we'll dive into Darwin, which is completely opposite to what happened with you. If you can share your story, please.
Yeah, my son initially was very hesitant to move. And I tried to give him my perspective, but he was of the opinion that, because I grew up there, all of that mattered to me, made a difference to me, but it doesn't make a difference to him because he considers this his home. But I didn't really, what I thought was it would be, he will only know when he experiences it. But what we realized is that the shift, he joined an IB program for 11th grade, and the academics was very challenging. So he also felt like and because he was doing very well here, he didn't take very well to the fact that his grades were dropping. And we had told him, we were expecting it and we had already prepared him for it, but he was not mentally prepared for that type of a change. And he was worried about college, and he also felt like he didn't fit in with the kids very much. Although we had put him at a top international school because we thought he'd be able to adapt better because there'd be other kids from out of country as well. But unfortunately, he was just not very happy. So we decided to come back.
So with that, I think Darwin has a completely different story. Darwin, can you share your story about how you started off with the kids' education there?
Yeah, and before that, I wanted to talk about an incident. So first time when we moved to India and came back to US with the newborn, my older one, it was winter when we came back. And one of the things we saw is he was about a year or just about to, walking and learn to walk. And early morning, he would come up and he would go to the glass window trying to go out. So that was something that really stirred our emotions to see that we kind of felt that we were kind of caging our kids because of the winter there. So that was one of the reasons to say, hey, outdoor was much more fantastic coming here and for the kids to enjoy the nature here. So after coming here, when we moved, my older one was about 2.5 years old, and the second one, younger one, was 2 months old. So we looked around where to preschool them. And after all the places we found in Gonigoppa, Bambino was something that really aligned with our views. And my wife Pranati had also taught in many public schools in US. And she had a degree in education too. So, but after preschool, after the level 2, what they call here, for first grade, we couldn't find something that was fitting with our line of thoughts, having been exposed to the education system in US. So that is when we thought, okay, we'll start our own school for the benefit of our own kids. And also, the idea was to foster a teamwork because most of us who have grown up in India are much of an individual achievers rather than the team spirit that we see in US. So, and also the other thought was we are all right now 1 or 2 siblings, and even the cousins are far off wherever they are. So I wanted to create a school where if you are not there tomorrow, the alumni network like we see in US is also built up here around the kids. So they are always there for each other to support wherever they are. And through that journey, we went through different curriculums. First, we thought we'll start with a homeschool, but homeschool in Coorg is very difficult because you don't have social hubs where you can bring the children together. So that kind of went out of the window. Then we started to look at open school, but problem with open schools is there isn't much literature, training, and things that would give the depth of knowledge for the kids. Then, as any school in India, it has to start with a state board. Curriculum is this, I mean, what you teach is 2 plus 2, doesn't matter which curriculum it is. But the problem with state boards is they are so hell bent up on reports and other things, they completely ignore what the kids are studying. So while we are going through the affiliation, CBSE was not something in our list because it was much of a rote learning and very narrowly focused. ICSE was where we were headed. But as we went along with the ICSE syllabus, we found that the depth was still not what we are looking for. Like the knowledge where we see an undergrad student in US is much more better qualified for work than us with a graduate degrees. So that is where we came across IGSE Cambridge syllabus, and we have just received our Cambridge affiliation, and this will be the first IGSE school in Kodagu today.
Congratulations, Darwin. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Do you want to just mention what your school's name is?
Kurk Signature Academy,
And it's located in
right next to our house, Ponampet.
Panampet. Thank you for that.
So after coming from US, I haven't traveled anywhere, not to US or anywhere. So I'm pretty much happy between my home school and the curing works. It's 3 kilometers. So COVID was the fantastic time period because no disturbance and life didn't change at all.
Well, thank you for sharing your story. I think now that we've spoken about education for folks in our attendees who have young kids and thinking about schooling, at least you've heard from Darwin and from Sigi on their experience. We're going to move on to financial and legal topic. This is an interesting one. So Naina, this is for you. What are the tax implications or consequences of moving back? Can you share some of the strategies?
Yeah, sure. So keep in mind that your tax implications will depend on your residency. So depending on, and every tax implications will be different for each one of us because of various things, right? So take a look at where you want to establish residency. Then if you spend more than for instance, if you spend more than 6 months in India, you will establish a residency in India. Then you'll have tax implications in India. Honestly, it's not such a big deal. So I would recommend you guys talk to a tax consultant. Make sure you understand what your situation is. Find somebody in a big city with India, like let's say somebody in Dallas or in New York or Chicago, who can actually direct you on the little things you can do and prepare for to put you on the right track. So don't be afraid of, what I'm basically saying is don't be afraid of the tax consequences. It should not be a consideration in your move. There's always things that you can do to minimize it, to take care of the obligations in such a way that you're not overtaxed or double taxed. And you can see what you want to live with basically after your conversation with your people, with your tax consultant. What I would suggest, though, look into options like Hindu Undivided Family Trust, HUFs, or things like that, trusts like that, that could protect you a little bit, give you some exemptions in India. That has actually worked really well for me. So take a look at those kind of things, but don't be afraid and don't base your decision on your tax implications. Base it on other things. I think your tax implications can always be worked out. And always keep in mind that tax laws change. It could change with, right? So don't base your decisions on tax implications. That is my advice to any one of you who's going to move.
Thank you, Naina. Umesh, Rina, do you have anything to add to that?
Not a whole lot. I think Naina did a great job, right? You need to find a CA or a CPA who has dealt. There are lots of them, in the US, in India, they know NRIs who have kind of, done this or have assets or income on both sides. They're doing tax equalization if you're kind of moving this way and the other way. So you definitely need professional, help. Yeah, you do need to go with somebody professional. You can't, in our case, one is a US citizen, one is an India citizen, right? I still, hung on to my Desi, passport. So like every situation is different, right? So you definitely need to get professional help.
Okay. Okay. Well, that leads to another question, Umesh and Rina. If you could tell us, the question came up was, can U.S. citizens own agricultural property in Coorg? Can you address that question?
Yeah, I have to say, you need to check with legal folks, but I'll tell you what I know, right? Don't take this as the law, because just like Naina said, things keep changing. At some point, you could not buy, as an NRI or a US citizen, you couldn't buy things in India, if it was tagged as agriculture. Then, I think in the last few years, what is considered agriculture has also evolved. I think now if you have wetlands, Baylor, then, that's the case. But, I'm hearing that you can buy coffee estates, if it's not in your RTC or the land records, it's not tagged as agriculture. Because some people will have put coffee on Baylor or agriculture or wetlands also. The other is inheritance, right? Absolutely no issue. Your children can be US citizens. You can be a US citizen. It's free and clear. You're inheriting something. There's not an issue. Right. But the thing I would say, this is not directly, to the question, but make sure, your children also understand and have that, that link to whatever property you're trying to protect, because what you don't want is you go through all of this to, kind of, put, Band-Aid and bubble gum and make this all, nice. And then, they're not interested in engaging with it. So when they're young, just as important as legal, you want to get your children emotionally involved at some level.
Okay. Okay.
Let me add one little thing here. I think here's where your Hindu undivided family trust or similar kind of trust situations are very helpful. Because you have it in there and they automatically become part of it. Your children automatically become part of it. But I understand what Umesh is saying about make sure your kids want it before you invest so much time and money into building something up that they totally don't want. You've got to live it for yourself and not for your kids.
Very true. Another question that came up was, would you recommend any financial advisors or banks? So do you have any recommendations on banks that you guys are using right now that is very easy friendly, where we can transfer money from the US to India? I mean, are there any banks? I know when I go to Coog, I use SBI and I pull my hair out every time I have to go into the SBI bank. So are there any banks that you all are using that are more user friendly and can actually transfer money between accounts?
So a very interesting thing in India is if you have a good relationship with your bank manager, that is a very good thing, right? But bank managers do transfer. A lot of people transfer their accounts to wherever that bank manager is, because some are easy to work with and some are not. So I have found that if you find a bank manager that you personally can establish a relationship with, that is the best account to be in, and you can even move with them. It doesn't matter. Other than that, if you don't really expect to establish a relationship, I think the big banks like HDFC is a good one, because that gives you access anywhere in the world. Most of them say they do, but I don't think they have the kind of access that a HDFC has.
Anything to add, Umesh and Rina in Darwin?
Yeah,
I mean,
I use both. Sorry, Darwin, go on.
Yeah, like Naina said, HDFC is there in Coorg. If you're moving to Coorg, there's Axis Bank. And interestingly, with the bank consolidation that happened a couple years ago, SBI has done a significant improvement in the recent times.
Oh, okay.
But again, HDFC and Axis Bank or ICICI are probably the ones that you could probably get much more of the online features that's much more convenient for you instead of going to the bank itself.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we hardly go to the bank, between HDFC and even Canada Bank. We have SBI, but we don't use it much. But they all have, pretty decent online interfaces. Not the most user friendly, but it works once you know how to work it. Right.
Yeah.
So I've been able to do everything that I needed to do. Even sitting in the US for the last 3-4 years, I was even managing the Koota, and paying, laborers and things like that, directly, from the US.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
So
Thank you so
yeah,
much.
it's come a long way.
Okay. I need to go get to know my bank manager at SBI now.
Well,
Um,
Google Pay definitely helps. I mean, everybody has Google Pay or phone.
yes.
So that
Yes.
really helps any transaction that you do in India.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Even the vendors, the Shandy, they all use Google app right now. So everybody is on no currencies exchange, right? It's all
Yeah.
online.
I do want to add, I thought of one thing that I'd like to add on the land and transactions and children and things like that. I think if you have the opportunity to get an Aadhaar card for your kids, whether
Mm-hmm.
they end up using it or not, I think it's a good idea because most transactions will need an Aadhaar card and a PAN card or whatever. But if you have a HUF PAN card, if you establish a HUF, you have a PAN card already on an individual level. If they don't have that Aadhaar card, even if you leave them, let's say, a cash of silly amounts like 50,000 rupees in a bank account, and you're gone, they will not be able to do anything with it. Okay, I mean, they might be able to do something with it, but it'll take them a lot of work and they'll probably just give up on it. So establish an Aadhaar card whenever possible. And right now, I think the rules are if you have an OCI, you can apply for an Aadhaar card without having to do influence or corruption or anything like that.
Absolutely. And we did that for our two boys too. They both have their Aadhaar card. So that was something that we did as soon as we could. So highly encourage that to everybody to get their cards done. I want to move on to, so the question was asked, what should we budget every month for living expenses being in Coorg or in Bangalore? Just a ballpark number. This is not including if you already have a home, you have a car. We're not talking about Tota because I know Tota cost is going to be different. Some may have larger acreage, some may have smaller acreage, so don't want to consider that. But we spoke, wanted to know, the audience wanted to know what's the budget that you could keep for having a good social life and then just managing and traveling. So what would that number be from a rupee standpoint per month? Umesh, Rina?
I can go with this. Yeah, I can go with this so each one, again, I want to start with each one is very different. So it depends a whole lot on where you live, how you live, all those things. So I'll give you, a snapshot without including travel. I'm not including travel vacations. So I've not included those. I've not included the thought of cost, just like you said, Gina. I would say that it's approximately about 2.5 lakh, 2.5 lakh a month is approximately what should be budgeted, and this does not include mortgage for the house or car loans. So that's approximately.
It does include a healthy dose of clubs and golfing or this or that, kind of decent family entertainment. Obviously you can dial all of that down and it can go down, but 2+ is really you can do everything. You can even throw in India travel in there.
Yeah.
Right. That's a fat number.
Okay. Darwin, do you have any other number that you've been in India? I mean, you've been in Coorg. Is that a good number to kind of think of?
No, it depends on the lifestyle. I mean, you can leave it much lower also, probably less than half of it, or you can even double it up depending on the lifestyle you want. So I wouldn't worry too much about that at any time.
So I can tell you from my experience, just shuttling between India and here, in a month, without club membership and all that stuff that is separate, but for your basic living, for your like domestic help, your gardener, driver, and then your groceries and people coming home and your chigurchi, all of that stuff included. 1 lakh is a decent amount, and I live by myself in India, so I don't know if that number changes if there is another person, because my husband's very social and maybe we just end up having more people at home. I don't know. And we have more alcohol at home. Who knows? I don't know. But right now, as it is, for me, 1 lakh is a very decent amount for me to have a decent life.
No, that's good. That's helpful. The other question about costs comes up is healthcare. So can you guys kind of talk about healthcare? Because if you're doing 6 months here, 6 months there, what was your healthcare strategy? And if you're already in India, what is the healthcare strategy? Can you guys talk about that?
Yeah, I'll go first. Since I spent 6 months in US and 6 months in India, I only maintained the US. It's been a real struggle, I'll be honest with you guys, because I have to maintain insurance in the United States, but I pay for 6 months and I never use. And I am a self-pay, so it is fairly expensive, and it doesn't cover things like a federal employee would. Uh, Overseas coverage and all that stuff. But I have found that healthcare costs in India is reasonable enough that I don't need to carry insurance and I can do a self pay at any given point. Now, as I get older, is that going to change? Maybe, but for right now, that seems to work out well enough for me.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, I will add some. So, everybody's situation is different. So we are spending much more time in India. Majority of the time, we may come to the US a month or two, maybe 3, in a year. So our healthcare is based in India. So yeah, we can pay for one-off things, but I'm thinking that the healthcare costs are going to go up over the next few years, even in India, just like everywhere else. So your ability to get into a plan may, depending on the age and stuff like that, it might become harder. So we just chose to get an India plan. But even if you're in the US, for most of your time and get the India plan, if you're able to get that, it's only, it's less than $1,000 for the two of us for a year.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
And yes. So if you're spending time on both and you want to kind of reduce the risk of, it's not big risk, right? The policy covers 10 lakhs, right? And if you have no claim, it covers 20 lakhs, for the year, for the next year. So, but, it's not like the US where you go with your, toothache and it, costs a few $1,000, right? So, I recently know somebody who had open heart surgery and that was like 5 lakhs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Full on open heart surgery. Right. So, if you're spending more than a few months, in India, I would get, the India healthcare, plan with that, whatever, Tata AIG for less than $1,000 for 2 people.
So I
That's
just have
amazing.
one thing to add to that is when you get health insurance in India, if you already have certain medical conditions, whether it's diabetes, whether it's asthma, whether it's high BP and stuff like that, that makes a difference to how the health plan works, how it pays out. So it's not like the US where, what do they call it? The pre-existing conditions are not
Pre-existing
considered.
condition.
The pre-existing conditions are definitely considered in India. So that is something that is a little bit different. Also, one thing that surprised me from when I was growing up in India is most people in India actually have health insurance. So when you go to a hospital or anything, they will ask you if you have health insurance because most people come in with health insurance. But I do want to go back to what Naina said is if it's small things, you just pay out of pocket and it is, very reasonable. Small things, just pay out.
And I know Vasanthi auntie and Muthu uncle have a different take on healthcare. What would you like to share what you are all doing about healthcare?
We are covered by the federal health. We got Blue Cross Blue Shield. So even in India, if you inform the Blue Cross Blue Shield about traveling to India and stay there, they'll cover 80% of our expenses. And if you are in America, you can use Medicare Part A. It is covered fully, 100%. But B is not covered. As long as we don't take it, it won't cover. But we'll be covered by Blue Cross and Blue Shield because the federal program, so we don't have any problem with that one. And also, if you don't have the insurance, you can come and have the insurance in India. It is cheaper than America. It will cover 80% of your expenses. And it is very cheap, not much expensive like America. Because we are paying $250 each. And we are paying $250 each for every month in America to get cover from Blue Cross and Blue Shield. So that's our thing.
So we heard three different types of insurance and healthcare needs. So this is amazing. Hopefully everybody's listening and will take notes from that. Let's talk about logistics and moving and property. So what has been your experience with movers and packers? That was a question that was asked by our audience. Umesh and Rina, you have a different take to Muthu uncle and Vasanthi auntie. So we'll start with you, Umesh and Rina. Can you explain to us your whole move process and the costs and things like that? What was the logistics on that?
Sure. So I want to just start by saying is in 2001, we have moved from the US to India, then moved back to the US, and now we have moved back to India. So we've done this a few times, you know, and we have moved everything. Each time we moved luggage, everything.
Furniture.
Furniture. Sorry, not luggage, furniture, I meant. Furniture, we moved everything. So at the first time, you know, we had no issues with stuff was nicely packed. Somebody came in, packed it. The price, I'll turn it over to Umesh to go through the prices that we paid. But when we say the door to door, this time around, it came to Kakotparma in Kodagu. So that was, you know, door to door was from Rhode Island to Kakotparma in Kodagu. And, you know, everything got unpacked, everything was nicely done. We did have to go through customs and, you know, clear that up. And it wasn't too much of an issue, but that's it. And do you want to go through the prices?
Yeah, I mean, depending on, you know, most of the cost is in the labor on the US side, right? If you have them pack every piece of glassware, Chinaware, it's going to be in the tens of thousands of dollars because that's all labor. You know, just loading and, you know, shipping, you know, maybe like $10,000 just, you know, for the container, like a 40-foot, you know, tall container, you know, stuff like that. Container itself is not the big deal. Transportation and unloading, packing in India is not as expensive. You know, they will kind of do all of that. You'll see the pricing package. So it's, if you pack most of your things in the US, and just leave the big furniture, you know, it can come drastically down. So you could move a fairly large house for, I would say, you know, with some elbow grease, 15 grand. And then, you know, customs is customs, you know, depends on what you're bringing, right? You know, they're all kind of rolling their eyes when they see a lot of stuff that they can, you know, catch hold of you for, you know, nothing that you can't, you know. Unfortunately, you have to learn to grease palms and stuff like that, negotiate, mercy negotiation, blah, 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 and then give them some money and get your stuff out. I mean, just, I would say, you know, just the cost of, you know, one, let's say, TV, right? If I went through the actual duty for that, you know, I paid that much duty for the entire, you know, container and, you know, paid a little bit to the guy there. He was happy and I was happy. So if you just go to Reliance here and buy a 65-inch TV or whatever, you know, 75, whatever it is, it's 2x or more, right? On a $2,000, $3,000 TV, you could, I'm just using these numbers so you have a perspective, right? You just take that money, pay some for customs, pay some to the guy, and the rest of your things are, you know, free and clear, right? So nothing to sweat over.
So it's about 10 to 15,000 is what you can budget for if you're moving a container, right? From the US straight to Kodagu or wherever you are.
Yeah, we moved 40 foot 40-foot large tall container, so not a small one. So
Okay.
not too bad.
Okay. And I know Muthu uncle and Vasanthi auntie, you had a different take when you moved. You pretty much bought everything in India, right?
Yes, we didn't buy anything. We furnished everything in the Bangalore house, even in the Virajpeta house, everything we bought here. We thought that is cheaper than moving everything.
For 15,000, you can have everything here, better than what you get in USA. That's what I mean to say. You can get rosewood, you can get teakwood,
Everything.
everything fine here. So
The
instead
only
of
thing you won't
spending
find there is
15,000,
Kamado Joe that Umesh and Rina took to cook, right?
but now you can get everything in Bangalore and even in Gonikopa. You can get everything.
We
Okay.
did all garage sale. We sold them all there.
And the
Okay.
rest of them we gave it to my son.
We moved to North Carolina after that. They took some of them.
Okay. Okay.
So
Well,
we don't have problem buying. In
Okay.
Coorg, you can go to Iriti and buy from there. There is a store called Sunita. They will bring everything to your house and fix everything, and you'll be happy. You are just sitting down and watching and pay them some money. That's it. That's what we did it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. We need to move on to a next very important question. Interest in land and property management strategies. So, Umesh, Rina, Sigi, I would love to hear your thoughts, and Muthu uncle, you too, on how are you managing your property while you were here in the US and what you're doing in India right now. Sigi, you want to go?
Sure. That's a really good question, important one. 2 years ago, when my husband lost his mother-in-law, his mother, my mother-in-law, he started managing the estate from here. We are a little fortunate in the sense that we've had, people, managers and writers who've been with us for many years. So we were lucky in that sense. But what I would say, and then of course, he's very passionate about the estate and everything. So he's on calls at night, he's on calls in the morning, middle of the night sometimes. So he has that interest, so he's able to do it. Not everybody can or has that interest to do it the way he does. But I think it's important to have sort of a distributed management and not have to rely on one person or one manager and give them too much autonomy. So irrespective of how much you trust them, there will be things that go amiss sometimes. But it's important to maintain the accounts, have a way of, checking accounts. And then you also need somebody that you can trust with financial transactions and things like that. So establishing those things and having someone you can trust and a distributed level of management, I think, is key to that. And it's possible. It's possible to do things if you're willing to put in that extra time and effort to do it.
You guys didn't hire a third-party property management or
We did not.
you did not. Okay, you used somebody that you knew who was a writer there.
Yes.
And
Yes.
you that
Yes.
person.
So we have 2 or 3 people who oversee things there. So
Okay. Okay, great. So, Uncle, how are you managing your property right now?
My property was managed by one of my cousin. 2 years back, he passed away. His wife passed away 3 years back. So nobody to take care of the property. Then his son said he's going to take care of it, but he could not do it because he's working in Bangalore and for him. I retired, I settled down in Coorg and Bangalore. So I decided, then it's very hard to find a ladies work for you if you treat them good and pay them little bit extra and back. Because you cannot pay in front of the other people because they saw you are paying them more, there will be a conflict of interest. So I paid telling laborers not to tell anybody, so I'll pay them a little bit extra, So I get the workers and a lot of them thinks how you are going to do the work there with all these people. I said, yeah, they work for me, so I am happy. That's it. And
Do you
everything,
do you see a lot of labor shortage problems? Because we keep hearing "ala, that's all
yes,
my parents keep saying. How would
yeah,
you?
yes,
That's a big
it's
challenge,
true.
right? It may become worse later on as
Yes,
years go by.
Yes, yes, it is a big
Darwin,
problem in Kurg.
yeah,
Yeah,
it is a big
Yes.
problem in Kurg. If we lost the West Bengal and
Assam.
Assam, that's it.
Some workers are
Mhm.
there.
You
just-
cannot manage the property in Kurg. I can tell you that much now. If you lose them
Mhm.
because of the Assam and this is we are surviving, but I'm not surviving only from the who is working for me. But sometime I'll get the Assamese from one of my friends. If I wanted in people,
Mhm.
I'll done my
You're breaking up a little bit, Muthappa. It's hard to understand, but I get the gist that it's been hard, but you're only using the Assamese and Bangladeshis too, who are actually working in the Tota right now.
yeah.
Darwin, what advice do you have for people who are kind of looking at wanting to? You have your own curing works, right? And you've seen and you've heard and you've been there for a long time. Do you see a pattern of labor shortage there, and what are people actually doing there to help with this issue that's coming up?
Labor shortages are definitely there, but also we had to look, the people management skills have to evolve, and we haven't seen that evolving here with the existing people who are struggling with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something I would first say for people to focus, because improve their the quarters, the labor quarters where they are, give them the amenities, because that is something that people are still trying to keep them in the old straw huts, but our houses have grown in size by 4 or 5 folds. So that is first treatment of labors will help in a certain way. And the other thing is we also have to look at trying to invest in machineries. There hasn't been a lot of innovation around here because it's a niche uh, terrain. So there is an opportunity to look at how to innovate those things. And the other portion is the strategy. Again, labor management strategies. There are a lot of fly-by laborers who move around in vehicles. So you can hire them as a contract and just let them do some of the work.
Okay, anybody else
So-
have anything to talk about that topic?
No,
Otherwise,
no, yeah, it's all been said well. So,
okay.
Yeah, I think he summarized that really well. But I think
Yeah.
investing in your existing laborers and giving them the amenities is really key to keeping them.
Okay,
I mean,
we
if
are
they want to
down.
go, they will still go, but
Yeah.
if they get 2 rupees more, but
Yeah.
but yeah, that infrastructure is very important.
And
We
there's
have
also a
10 minutes
mindset
to go.
where
Just to want to let you all know, we have only 10 minutes more. So I'm going to try and hurry up and try and see if we can answer as many questions. I'm sorry if, and everybody listening out there, if you all have additional questions, please do put it in the chat box. We will respond to them. If not today, we'll definitely respond via email and send it to you all, so that way everybody has the questions and the answers that have been provided, plus this recording too. Somebody has asked us, how do you build your social life, and what communities and neighborhood recommend for people moving back to Kodagu? I can say this, that if you are a member of Bamboo Club, you're a member of a CGL, if you're a golfer, even if you're not a golfer, come enjoy the greens. It's amazing. Those are the only 2 clubs that I know of. That other than that, Umesh, Rina, do you have anything else to say in Darwin?
The one
there's
thing I would
plenty of
add
social life. People are focused more on the social life than the working in the estate. So that shouldn't be a problem. But I would say move to the neighborhood that you're closest to where your estate is. Or and clubs wise, there are many clubs. I mean, these are the bigger ones that you know, but there's Brahmagiri Club all the way in Koota to Planters Club in Gonigappa. And depends at what age and what social life you want, there is plenty of opportunity for it. But don't get carried away with too much of social life. if you're on a younger side with kids, because you tend to still work for your life.
One thing I would add is it also surprised me is that social life, exactly to what Darwin said, is has picked up and moved to it there. And there are many women's groups who go out on vacations, who spend time together, like there's a Ballachanda group of women who will go like to different states on vacation. I haven't heard of international vacation so far, but they spend time together. They will meet regularly and, have a night out and things like that. So there is that happens too.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that. Now we're going to go into challenges and advice. The question came up was, what were the biggest challenges you faced when or after returning to Kodagu? Is there anybody who can talk about that topic?
Yeah, go on, Darwin, you're starting.
So the biggest challenge is we didn't move with any, I didn't, or actually didn't move with any lot of expectations of how the life it should be, because I just wanted to take as it comes. But the one thing I would always suggest, if you're trying to come start a business or trying to think you can all set up a plan and then move comfortably here, that's not going to work out at all. Because it's not expensive, healthcare, lifestyle, everything wise. But don't put your money by having a plan with a notion that it's going to work as soon as you come. Come here, spend at least 6 months to a year, explore, and then start to invest and venture out into a business. Because a lot of advices that you get is from a very different perspective, and we have a very different perspective having been in US for such a long time. And we do bring a good value with our perspective, but we just have to know how to take it forward after coming here.
I agree with Darwin.
Oh, that was Muthu uncle. Sorry, I didn't see
Yeah.
that.
No, I agree with Darwin. Whatever he said, it's exactly okay.
Sure.
It's true.
Okay. Umesh, you were going to say something.
Yeah, you keep going.
Okay.
Yeah, I will add to that. I would say that it's a mixed bag. It will take a good, depending on how long you've been outside, I think it will take a good 3 to 6 months to really get into the groove. Yeah, but it'll grow on you eventually. I mean, I had a great time.
Yeah.
Was that
It all depends on your connection with the people back here,
That brings us to
It all depends upon the people.
Sorry, uncle. What did you say?
No,
No, it all depends on individuals, how you go take it.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
There is a lot of opportunity here. So if with your skills and the outlook that you have developed here over there in US, there is things that you can do here in India. And I didn't want to move to Pune, and my options were in Singapore, but I just wanted to be in Cool because at this juncture, I could spend more time with my kids when they're still growing up, before they become teens.
That's really amazing. Yeah.
So I'll add a 1 minute. I know you're running out of time, but a quick 1 minute thing. Definitely so many opportunities. I'm going to add on to what Darwin said. So many opportunities for us to do things in Kodagu itself. But the one thing, one thing that's worked for me, let me say, is I didn't go in with the attitude of, here, let me help you out. Let me tell you what to do. I just went in, started doing stuff, and people started reaching out to me and saying, how can we join this process? So I think if we take more of a, let's just do it and people will follow, that has seemed to work as a better attitude than, here, let me help you out because I know a little more than you do. Thanks.
Perfect.
Yeah, I can add a little bit outside of that, right? One thing that people may not understand or underestimate is how long kind of the governmental things take, right? Getting your property stuff sorted out. Small, what can be small is not, right? That could take you 6 months, right? Just getting a gun license, for example, completely off, anything we're talking about can take long, right? So, one of the, thought process why I made the comment earlier was if we, I grew up in Coorg. I grew up, I went to school in Amati and stuff like that before going over there. If I am so frustrated and it's taking me this long and I speak fluent Coorg, fluent Kannada, I can have the street fight, whatever it is, talk to anybody, grease palms, right? I am petrified about the thought of leaving any of this to the kids.
I agree.
I wouldn't be.
If you do anything good, sort it all out so they don't have to sort it out.
Yes.
That's it.
No, to,
Don't be so discouraged. I understand the revenue can be very frustrating, but there are ways to get those things done. But I also run a business. I export a lot of coffee even for US. But getting anything with regarding to business licenses and stuff, it's a much more streamlined than what
Yeah.
it used to be.
Your
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Doing business in India is a lot easier than it used to be.
Yes.
So we have another very important two topics I have. I hope we can finish it really quick. Aging parents. This is a very important topic because most of us have aging parents. So I'm going to let Umesh and Rina talk about what are your thoughts about, aging parents? How do you take care of them? And you shared a story with me. I would love for you to share that with the attendees here and kind of talk about the old age homes in Kodagu, please.
So I can go with that is, so my in-laws stay in a retirement community in Mysore. Actually, it's not in Kodagu, it's in Mysore. And they have all the facilities there. They have food there. They have company there. The house gets clean. They have, 24/7 caretaker there. And it did take at least 2 years to convince them that it was okay to go and stay there and not stay at home. So I do want to start with that. It did take us, a lot of time, spending time with them to convince. But once they moved there, and it was also because, they needed it from a health perspective, they loved it. They absolutely loved it. They have all the support required, and we had them there when we were in the US, and they had that support. And the one thing I do want to add is, unfortunately, my father-in-law passed away, and after that, when people came after he died, there were multiple people who have living in Coorg, who have come and asked me about that facility. That they said that they would love to be in a facility like that. They would love to have that kind of care because it is, more easily available. So that's.
I would just add a little bit, right? If your parents, can, you can get a nurse at home and, they can manage with you. Like Rina's parents, for the most part, they live with us now, but they're not at a stage where like my dad was, he needed, serious medical, attention, shots every day and, things like that. When you get to that stage, it's right now, I'm not aware of a great facility, in Coorg. It's a business opportunity for, all of us here, right? Or, some of us here, but something like that should be there in Coorg. But the other is, within 15-20 minutes, being able to get to one of the big hospitals, that's also a tough thing in Coorg, right? So as long as you can keep them with you, with nurses, there are lots of, nursing companies, they kind of live with you 24/7. All of that is available in Mysore. They'll come to Coorg or wherever, go with the, the patient or whatever, the person, who's being taken care of, right? The elderly. So a lot more options are there now, in close by cities like Srirangpatna and Mysore. Coorg, not so great yet. That I know of. Sorry.
Okay. Naina, you want to share your story?
Yeah, I actually found it really convenient to hire somebody because obviously you can afford so much more with help. I had a daytime care, I had nighttime care because my mother had dementia. And it worked out really well at staying at home. But that was because I could afford to go live with her for 2 years. But if you don't have that option, I like what Umesh and Rina are saying, there are some pretty good options in Mysore, but I don't think people in Kodagu are ready because a lot of people have talked to me. People who live in the United States have talked to me and said, you should just open assisted living or things like that. And I asked them in return, would you put your parent? And none of them have said yes. So I don't know that we are at a point in Kodagu that we're willing to do that yet. I think the options in Mysore and stuff are still viable. And I know Lopamudra has talked about a geriatric wing where he has housed people who are on their last legs, and he had a hard time with it as well. So financially viable business opportunity, maybe not yet. 5 years down the road, perhaps. But somebody, going in early would be a great thing in Kodagu. It is definitely needed. I just don't know if we will use it appropriately.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Now, the last thing. Now you decide to move to Kodagu or Bangalore, wherever everybody wants to go to. How do you engage or start a business, and how do you keep yourself busy? Because after you're going there for retirement, and once you go there, I think the question was, how do I keep myself busy? How much thought work is there? How much, if I want to start a business, how do I start that? Or do I even start a business when I go back? So with that, I think, Darwin, if you can talk about how you started and how hard it was or how easy it was. And then I'd like to go into Umesh, and then we'll get to you, Naina.
Okay, so if you are starting a business, I came here with, other than the family and the social, let me start. Other than for the kids and the family, the other main goal for me coming here was I wanted to do something for the community and build a community that I leave behind for the kids. That's much more better than what we look forward here. So since everyone here complained that traders cheated, they are not giving us the prices. So I bought machineries from Brazil before even I landed here and built the curing works. But after coming here, I realized it is not what they said. One is that I wanted it to open for them to do the job work so they can come get their own coffee process and do their own marketing. None of them came forward. And also found it's not the traders, even the people here, own family members will cheat in the trade. So that was a very painful experience since I put my quite a significant amount of my savings into building this. But since then, I stood up for the challenge. Every year we lost quite a bit of money, but over time we have learned things, and we have we have significantly established a footprint in the society here. There's still a lot of work we are doing, but there are challenges. The one thing is the failures are there, but it is very satisfying to see that we are able to achieve something. Irrespective what anyone says, if you stand the ground, we can do something that we can truly be proud of.
And you should have a passion for whatever you're doing anyway, right?
I mean, I had no idea what coffee was. I grew up in Bhadravati, went to US. I didn't know anything about the trade. I didn't know the people. So it is all come here, put the money and start afresh. And what did we do? When we went to US, we did the same thing, right? We didn't have anything in our pockets. We just went there, stood a life. And also things that really impacted me was during that time, the Syrian war was going on. So I could see doctors and people who lost everything in their life and was utter tatters in the road. And today we see the same thing happening in Ukraine. We just don't know where anything could happen the next day itself. So in those cases, how strong are our kids to stand up for those things in life? Today, as a first generation Indians, we have the strength to do things, and that's how we ended up in US. Now, if you are so hesitant to think about it so many times of how to move back to India, it's just a laughable shame because where did we lose all those things when what we had going there? Then how do we expect our kids to be strong after we are gone?
Very true. Something to think about for sure. Umesh, would you like to talk about how you started a business when you went back, right? Or did you start it here and then you kind of continued that in Coog?
Well, I did start, something, about few years ago, 5 years ago, few years before we moved to India. It's kind of in the same line. It's IT, cybersecurity, things like that. In the last year, with my dad and the support he needed and all of that, I kind of single-handedly kind of dealt with a lot of that. So I do need to pick it up. So I've not given up on it. So the Koota can be as busy as you want it to be. It can, suck up 24 hours a day, or you deal with, managers and other people and just kind of give it enough, support. I do, like Darwin said, I had actually, thought about, hiring, IT or cybersecurity type of people in Coorg, creating some, opportunities, but I need to finish building that house and move to Coorg. I can't be sitting in Mysore and talking about Coorg.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not done with it yet. So
Okay, okay.
You wouldn't believe I am hiring chartered accountants and IT people from Bangalore to support me here.
Okay, okay. So I mean,
yes,
you can keep yourself busy as long as you want to. You will always find ways to keep yourself busy, right? It could be
Yeah,
that you
yeah.
take care of the Koota, or you want to start your own business, or just go play golf and hang out with everybody at the golf course. Or I know rummy tournaments are a big thing too in bamboo clubs. So you never know, right? Naina, did we lose you? Because I know you wanted to talk about Kodagu
I think
2015.
Vasanthi want to say
Vasanthi
something.
auntie, you have something to say?
No, I was telling like a retiree people like us, we go travel, we travel a lot. You can go international travel or go in India. There's a lot of place to visit. So you always can travel and do Tota Kelsa when they had season. After that, you can go everywhere, travel.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Also keep
That's
busy
what
with
I want to
your
do.
health. Health is very important. Health is very
Yes.
important.
So when I was in Coorg, I joined a Kaveri Ashrama for yoga and also I so much I interacted with a lot of other Kodavatis over there. They're all coming for yoga. So we had a lot. I connected with a lot of Kodava friends over there. So I
Okay.
liked it much.
Well, I think we are over the hour time that we had, but I want to thank everybody. And I think we lost Naina. I know she had she wanted to kind of talk about her Kodagu 2050, but this is just the first panel discussion that we are having, and we plan to do a lot more if the interest is there. I know we covered a lot of topics, but each topic could probably take more than an hour, and this was just a brief overview of what we can expect if you're going back to Kodagu. So we plan to do a couple of other sessions throughout the year, every maybe quarter or so, depending on what people are interested in hearing. But I want to thank the panelists, everybody, to take your time and be here. And hopefully the audience here who are here on our meeting have taken back a few things that maybe, it'll make them realize that it may be time for them to move, or maybe the no maybe become a maybe, or I know some of them are curious, and hopefully this has helped them make that decision whether to move or not. And if you have any questions, please do put them in the chat. We will get back to you all. Sorry, this was a really short 1 hour meeting, but we appreciate that. And thank you everybody for joining us.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye.
you all.
Thank you.